Hello again, and welcome to the Maitland Business Chambers Meet Our Members section. Today we have Adam Towler from Noted. Now Adam's going to share with us what Noted is all about, the benefits of Noted, but also he's going to share some ideas and his journey on his way to developing and building Noted. So without further ado, welcome Adam. It's good to see you here.
Yeah, thanks, Shane. Likewise. Yeah, it's a pleasure to catch up with you guys. Yeah, a great opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah. So Adam, can you tell me how long you've been developing Noted?
Yeah, sure. All right. So our journey of the concept was really born probably sort of mid 2018. It's been quite, I suppose, an experience for us. We registered the business. It was in the second quarter of 2019 when we came up with the business name. And since then, it's been a process of working with, I suppose, a team of developers, various other stakeholders from legal perspective, cybersecurity perspective, marketing perspective, to really sort of form the business to what it's become today, and importantly too with I suppose the clients that we've been fortunate enough to onboard during this process and have helped us prove the concept and demonstrate that it achieves the value that we've hoped it would. So so as a long answer to a short question was we really sort of conducted a soft launch late last year, and then I suppose recently, probably as from 2 months ago, 3 months ago, we've really started to work on our lead generation now and get the product out there to the broader audience, broader market.
Excellent. So step us through what is Noted?
So Noted essentially is a platform. So it's a web and mobile app, meaning it's available on your desktop or via, I suppose, a mobile device, whether it's Android or Apple, so the iOS platform.
Yeah.
We developed to simplify performance management. When I say simplify performance management means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But for us, and from my background, which we can get into shortly, what I found was that a lot of organizations, from my experience, had a reactive approach to managing performance, whether it be a periodic end of year review, where we typically, review the highlights and lowlights of that individual's performance over that nominated period. So, speaking from a HR professional's point of view or perspective, as well as from an operational capacity, we've seen the challenges associated where we're essentially looking for the cure as opposed to the prevention. So whether we're dealing with employee turnover, whether we're dealing with performance issues to the point where the relevant managers pulling their hair out trying to deal with put out spot fires, we really wanted to sort of flip that upside down and provide organizations with a really simple, intuitive program that any leader in an organization could pick up and use to successfully, proactively manage their time or manage their team on a real-time basis. So as the events occur.
Yeah. So would you say a great analogy of that is you're managing performance by looking out of the windscreen rather than looking in the rear vision mirror?
Yeah, absolutely.
Making those corrections in a business as you're moving forward, like you would be driving a car. Because when we jump in a car, we don't just grab hold of the steering wheel and look in the rear vision mirror. We look out the windscreen, we make little adjustments all the way along subconsciously. But I think from the sounds of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Noted actually allows those little adjustments all the way along. So some of the benefits that come straight to mind would be obviously peak performance for team, very low turnover, but also allows employers to identify those who sometimes people are uncoachable, but then there are others who are coachable. But if you let it go too long, you miss those coaching moments, and then it's too late, and then you've got to unfortunately move them on. So am I correct in some of my assumptions?
Yeah, no, great analogy, Shane. I haven't heard that one before, but I like it. I might use that later on.
Not a problem.
Yeah, so really, again, performance management is often I suppose has negative connotations. So people often see performance management as simply there's an issue, and when it gets bad enough, I'll deal with it then.
Yep.
What essentially what we're trying to promote and support organizations in doing is really trying to take the anxiety away from managing performance by providing, I suppose, the tools the ability, as you mentioned before, to recognize behavior, as and when it occurs. So good, bad, or indifferent. So a job well done, I suppose encouraging the performance where we actually recognize that, tap the person on the back, capture that moment. And on the flip side, where there might be someone who isn't performing as well, it's a really simple tool that provides, I suppose, some prompts. It's not just about actually having that conversation, but it's about what do I need to deliver? What information do I need to communicate, convey when having that conversation with that person? So there's two parts to this. One is, ideally, we're looking at whenever having those conversations, we're trying to promote performance. So if there's a shortfall, providing some structured cues as to, for a leader who might be otherwise unfamiliar with the process or not confident, they'll now have a simple application that says, okay, what is the issue? What corrective action is required? And, if this behavior doesn't improve, what are the consequences? So really clearly articulating that pathway for that individual and giving them the best opportunity to improve that performance and through a I suppose, depending on the significance of the event, but an informal and or formal coaching process. But importantly, being able to follow up on that, again, just using technology and it's, in a simplistic fashion to, drive that behavior.
Yeah. So from what you've just said there, I'm picking up that, well, not picking up, but people don't like confrontation, one, but also two, with that is the added confidence when you have to bring a problem to a head, and then having that app, you've got the confidence there. You've also got a documentation, and from what it sounds like, there's follow-up reminders that will go to that supervisor to do a follow-up, to check up, and then obviously document all the way through there. So which then also gives employers and supervisors confidence moving forward in how they're managing their team. And then if worse comes to worse, they have to manage them out of the business. They've got documentation there where they've had coaching moments to try and correct this person. That's obviously backs them up in their case for dismissing a staff member if worse comes to worse.
Yeah, exactly. So, we have performance that isn't really sort of hitting the mark or meeting the expectations of the organization. I suppose sometimes employees haven't had the opportunity to work with an organization or people where they get structured, I suppose, robust feedback. An employee might go throughout their career, whether it's, a short career or a longer career, where, the organization typically, might just to potentially sometimes, move that employee on or management out of the business, but not necessarily by educating them and, what the issues are. So best case scenario, ideally, we'd like to provide an environmental support organizations in providing a really positive environment for the employees, that transparent workplace where they understand where they stand. And like you said, curbing that ability to actually, turn I suppose, someone whose performance isn't really where the organization sees it should be, but, educating and supporting them to potentially best case scenario, turn that employee into a great news story. And on the flip side, as you mentioned, Shane, it's where, in some instances, employees don't always want to, I suppose, toe the line, and you might get to that point where you've done everything you possibly could, but you've demonstrated that you've got a robust process in place. It's been documented. You've followed up with that individual, and really, we've given the individual the best opportunity to, I suppose, to lift their performance. And sometimes, unfortunately, that doesn't always happen.
Yeah. So you've nailed on the head there. When for an employer, we want stars working for us. We want to be able to coach people to achieve that little bit more, and so if we've got positive coaching moments, we want to capture them as much as we can, because if we've got talented people working in our organizations, then the whole organization lifts, and you have productivity rises, you have cost drop in staff turnover, you don't have that loss in IP, you don't have the stress of managing, but it's managed correctly. You don't have the stress of having to do those confrontations, because you're managing it and you're breeding a culture within your business of positivity, and you're capturing all that. So the minimal, as I said before, the flip side to it, what falls out of the bucket at the bottom is going to be very minimum, if nothing at all, if things are managed right. And it sounds like an awesome tool that sits beside, say, your WHS process, your HR, and then you can put those two together for when you're onboarding a staff member, or you can see key traits within your team. So when you're hiring someone new in, you go, right, well, I'm looking for this in a person. Let's ask them these questions. Let's start targeting and looking for talent to join a talented team. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I suppose by nature, most people crave feedback, whether they admit it or not, good, bad, or indifferent. But like you said, by creating that culture of feedback in a workplace, and that culture of transparency, what that builds is trust. And then, that trust then forms part of, I suppose, the ability to work more effectively. That open dialogue and communication in the workplace is then broadened. And then when you are having those, I suppose, more robust conversations, people are more open to that feedback because they're not concerned about, what is the hidden intent. It's just it's the culture that we've created within the workplace. Again, about capturing that positive recognition. So it's not necessarily that your manager only really speaks to you when there's something wrong. It's it's good, bad, or indifferent. Because I've seen flip sides where typically it's an engagement sometimes only often occurs when there's something wrong. So they said the manager's called you up to the office and there's people that all of a sudden their emotions are frozen. They're going, oh, what is wrong? As opposed to in a workplace this day and age, really it's not just about remuneration, which locks person into a role. It's about that workplace culture and how they feel going to work. And obviously there are various other elements to workplace culture, but that that transparency and communication and that feeling of being valued in an organization obviously has a significant part in that.
Yeah, and another thing just comes to mind that if you've got a great positive culture within your business, people are less likely to take sick days. So the benefits just flow on from there. So well, let's take it back a little bit. Do you want to tell us a little bit about you and where your journey into Noted?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have, I suppose, a fairly wide and varied background. I have worked in various industries ranging from rail, civil, and then mining. Then I suppose later on I started a business, a consulting business, which then sort of further enabled me to work with various organizations, ranging from large enterprise through to smaller enterprises.
Yep.
And with that experience, and it's interesting, it's not until you sort of take a step back later in your career and it's those small insights which help you identify those potential problems, which is really where Noted was born. And the problem was really around, I think, as we touched on earlier, is that proactive engagement in the workplace to managing performance as opposed to retrospectively, looking at it and trying to address it. So throughout those, I suppose, my career and those sort of pillars that I've mentioned before, I've worked in operations, so I can sympathize with, I suppose, the challenges with managing large-scale workforces, and then into risk and compliance as well from a sort of WHS perspective, contracts and procurement from managing, contractors and as well as contracts, and then in HR. So again, in a HR capacity and as well as in consulting capacity in that space, realizing some of the challenges around, I suppose, establishing those expectations and then following up on those expectations. And again, that broader piece around performance management. By nature, I suppose I can definitely relate to various people in various roles, whether it's managerial roles or various in supervisory roles. But essentially, what we've tried to do here is develop a product that really makes a difference to all levels in the organization, everything from being an employee myself and whether it's a lack of feedback or through to inconsistent feedback, but also then supporting organizations in managing that overall process and providing the best possible outcome. Okay,
excellent. So we're going to sort of change tact again a little bit in a moment, and let's talk about. Do you want to share some stories or some your journey in around 2 lockdowns and how that's impacted Noted?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, it's, I suppose, with everyone that transition to a virtual world has been quite interesting. Moving from a platform previously where you'd arrange face-to-face meetings, you develop that rapport or trust with your potential clients, particularly when you're starting a product, through to really having to flip that upside down and go, okay, in the first instance, how do we actually engage with someone? How do we then connect with them? And then obviously, and then build consumer confidence to the point where, you know, hopefully you can build a connection and encourage them to onboard your product. So it's yeah, it's been quite an interesting journey, really. It's one which this day and age, you know, very rarely do you actually often meet people in person. Sometimes, you know, whether you're building a product and it's managing a team, you know, you've got these people sort of scattered around Australia now that you tend to deal with, and then, you know, through to clients. So it's definitely, yeah, it's interesting. I do like the better benefit of what it does, and then, you know, I suppose the expectation of whilst it's great to meet people in person, but I suppose the time that you win back by actually, you know, just jumping on a call and having a conversation like this today, it gives the opportunity to really connect with, I suppose, a broader audience, as opposed to previously one which, you know, you would try and schedule, you know, jump on a plane, you know, fly out to Brisbane and wherever it may be, and meet that person in, you know, face to face. So
yeah. So potentially you could meet with 3 to 4 interstate or out of state clients in the same day, or even locally, you know, as opposed to losing a lot of time driving or flying to get to a location for a meeting. Yeah, look,
absolutely, and it's the expectation. The biggest challenge, to be honest, is to, you know, do we have it's connect via Zooms, Teams, WebEx, or you know, otherwise? So
what platform are you connected on? You know, that is the challenge at the moment.
There are, I suppose, it depends on the organisation. Sometimes there are technological barriers with that. So some organisations, you know, for whatever reason, won't use Zoom. Depends on the size of the organisation. Sometimes they'll restrict, or Teams, or WebEx. But usually once you get over that, you know, you really figure that out in the first 15 minutes, and then once the microphones and cameras are working, you know, where you go.
Yes. I think the new phrase for this century would be "you're on mute."
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, look. What we'll do is we'll put your contact details and stuff in our links below. We'll also send them out to our members. But first and foremost, who would this product ideally suit?
Great question, Shane. So, I mean, a lot of organizations often fall into the trap of, you know, it's for everyone. So, you know, but when we try to narrow down our target market audience, I suppose I encourage everyone to think of this one question. I suppose you know, we talk about performance management again, and you know, broadly speaking, that means many things to many people, but really we've tried to develop a platform for people who have challenges staying on top of individual or employee feedback. So sometimes you've got one manager or one leader in a business who manages, you know, between, you know, 5 to 10 or plus people. It's really, you know, difficult to stay on top of that feedback. I'm not sure, you know, the balance of feedback. Sometimes I'm not sure how to have those conversations with those employees. We often find that, you know, this platform really lends itself to those people who don't, you know, find themselves having the time to actually sit down, grab their diary, reflect on what they're doing, you know, whether they're maintaining spreadsheets, whether they're maintaining, you know, a drawer of employee files, and they reflect on every 3 months, flicking through it. This platform really enables you to capture those interactions in a matter of, you know, I suppose, you know, up to anywhere, you know, 30 seconds, you know, you can capture an interaction. So for those organizations who've had that, I suppose, unsettling feeling in their stomach, you know, am I managing performance well? Am I left exposed? You know, am I engaging with my team enough? This platform is for you. Again, we have clients ranging from, you know, they might have an employee base of 15 through to people who are managing teams in excess of 800 people. So it's it's really it's a platform that we've developed so that anyone can pick it up without any, I suppose, in-depth training packages. That one of the biggest hurdles that we had was really around the hesitance or concern around implementing a new software platform. So, you know, there are those issues with, oh, you know, I just don't have the time to implement a software platform, maintain it. We really, you know, one of our values was to, you know, simplify the complex. So we don't believe performance management should be complex. It's really about consistency. So, you know, for those organizations who are a little bit concerned about technology, this is certainly not a barrier for them. It's really about, you know, enabling and empowering, you know, those leaders to, you know, pick up a tool. Literally the only communication or consultation that's really required is, you know, previously if you want to capture an interaction, capture it in a diary. If you want to capture it in the diary, this platform is here and is for you to use. So
Yeah, yeah. I remember talking not so long ago to a business owner. He was sharing some ideas around people management, and they kept a diary, and in the day they'd reflect on the day, and they would mark good, bad, otherwise in their diary. So this would be a great tool for them to pick up the app on the phone, put it straight in, and then it will then keep all those notes for them. And then instead of having to flick through the diary for 6 months and try and work out whether this person has done good, bad, otherwise, it's then live for them and updated. They click the button, I assume, and it's all there.
Yeah, we have clients ranging from, I suppose, maintenance companies through to, mining related facilities management, healthcare. So it's quite a broad perspective, but again, it's about that I suppose the interaction with employees. If you have frequent interaction, or you maybe feel like you're not engaging with your employees enough or collecting that information, this is a great tool for them. If you're not sure about how you're interacting with your workforce or how your team is interacting with your workforce, this tool then provides data-driven insights as to how your leaders in the business, or even yourself, you're interacting, whether it's the balance of feedback you're providing, the volume of feedback, how it's tracking and trending over a period of time. So it's the benefit of technology in this day and age.
Okay, and so how do people get in contact with you and the team at Noted?
Great. So we have a website, so noted.com.au. So there's a wealth of information there. We also have the ability through our website to engage with one of our team members by booking a catch up. So you can do so directly through that platform, or simply by emailing us at info@noted.com.au. Excellent.
Well, Adam, thank you very much for your time today. We have learned so much. And for you guys that are watching at home or at your office, wherever it may be, the details are below if you've missed it in our video. If you need more information, get in contact with us. If you can't follow the links or there is some problem, we'd be more than happy to put you in touch with Adam and the team at Noted. Click the link below and we'll be able to get in contact with you. Once again, thank you very much.
Thanks, Shane.